Hello and welcome to our podcast. I'm Danny, and today, Break.com talks with Christine McIver, founder and CEO of the Kids Cancer Care. If you haven't heard of it, Kids Cancer Care is passionately dedicated to helping young people affected by cancer and their families survive and thrive in body, mind, and spirit. Remember, before you begin, if you're new here to this podcast, press subscribe on YouTube or in your podcast app. Hi, Christine, and welcome.
Hello, Danny. Thanks for having me.
It's totally our pleasure. And it's so good to talk to a founder because when we talk, we ask people about the story behind it, what inspired the creation of organizations. It gets so much more personal with the founder here. So could you share with us how was the founding of Kids Cancer Care? What motivated it?
Sure. So it was from a very personal reason. My oldest son was diagnosed with a brain tumor on Christmas Eve in 1986. I also had a 2-year-old son and was expecting my third child, a daughter. And it was a pretty explosive time spending, the next month in the hospital with my son, including Christmas. And it was a pretty terrible time to be going through that with him. And he was only 5.5 years old and had so many questions, and then a really tough surgery, and had to struggle back to being a going on 6-year-old little boy, and had to learn to walk and talk and do everything all over again. And a lot of his little boy functions never came back. He was paralyzed on one side and had an ataxic gait, and really had lost so much of what was promising to be a strong, athletic, and very healthy little boy. And that's what childhood cancer brings to so many children.
Thank you. Thank you so much for sharing that personal story with us. I can only imagine how devastating and I think complicated doesn't go with it because it's such an intricate situation. You have to first explain to a child what's happening. It's not easy. Explain to yourself what's happening. Again, not easy.
Yeah.
And deal with everything that goes around with your family. So I think it's quite brave of you to turn this pain and this struggle into something that is so much bigger than yourself. I think this is really, really beautiful. And considering this, we talked about this topic before here in the podcast, but I don't think we cover it enough, let's say. I don't think we still fully understand what it is to have a kid fighting cancer in our family. And even though we might explain it, it might not even get what it is like, right?
Yeah.
But could you give us some context of the challenges that you see the families face, and maybe also about your context, because I haven't mentioned it here, but you guys are in Canada, right? You're in Alberta, so it would be nice to have also some cultural and local context about this too.
Sure. So any family that's diagnosed with cancer, doesn't matter what country they're in, will probably go through so many things the same. Just the fact that one parent or both have to quit working to help support that child, and not a lot of people have that luxury to do that, and it really affects the entire family. There's no question about it. The diagnosis of childhood cancer or any kind of cancer really affects the entire family, and it's very poignant when it's a child because they don't understand what they're going through. It's so rare, thankfully, that most of our families are just they all go through the same thing. They're devastated to hear the news, and then they're entering a completely different world. This is a world that nobody has ever wanted to enter in on, and so many people are affected by it. It's not just the child that's diagnosed, mom and dad, siblings, grandparents. It really touches deeply. And then the extended community, because they want to jump in and help too, because it's such a horrific thing that happens most often because of the age of childhood cancer occurrence, it's usually very young families, and so they're just starting off. They don't have the financial wherewithal to leave their jobs, and so it's devastating financially as well. Sometimes they don't have parents or grandparents close by that can help them out with the day-to-day struggles of helping the siblings out and getting them to hospital. There's school issues that happen, and getting them back into school, and then just being able to play like other kids play too. So when my son was diagnosed in Calgary, Alberta, Canada, in 1986, there wasn't any programs or services for children with cancer, and it wasn't until I came through probably the first year of the nightmare, that I really started to think, like so many other families around me that were dealing with this, and so we would talk lots in the bathroom, in the waiting areas, and all of those things, that we would talk with other parents and find out how much just isn't there for children with cancer. Now, that was a long time ago, and gladly I was able to do something just after Derek was just relapsing for the final time. He passed away in April of 1991, but it wasn't until he'd actually got to go to a cancer camp in BC, the province right next to Alberta, that I saw that there were so many other things that we could do. And so shortly thereafter, talked to another charitable organization to help get this started. And then eventually in 1994, started the Kids Cancer Camps, which evolved to Kids Cancer Care Foundation. And then it was then that I knew in 1994 that we could be doing so much more for children, not just cancer camps, which are really, really important to everything that, socialization, stretching children beyond what they thought they could do, spending time alone from their parents with other kids and other siblings, that they could do so many fun things together. But then we expanded to Kids Cancer Care Foundation in 1999, and then started doing some really amazing things, funding pediatric oncology research, which sadly is still horrifically underfunded, not just in Canada, but throughout the world. The number is somewhere between 4 and 5% of research funding goes to children's cancer research. And this is something that not only Kids Cancer Care, but also Childhood Cancer International is really trying to stop. Stop the poor research funding, but start the attention and the knowledge that children get cancer too, and that when we save a child's life, we save them for probably another 80 productive years. And so funding childhood cancer is a good investment into tomorrow for so many children. We want to make sure that every child has a chance, first of all, at cure, and that our mission statement is survive and thrive in body, mind, and spirit. And so everything that we do today, every program that we provide, every dollar of research that we put into that is focused on children surviving and thriving in body, mind, and spirit. And we do that through a whole plethora of amazing and targeted therapies that we provide for children with cancer and their families.
I am amazed about this whole thing, and I love this triad, thriving body, mind, and spirit extension. It's amazing, and I think this is what holds a person together, I believe, right? You need to be there to be someone, not to be just a body, a walking body. And another thing that really I want to highlight here, we had a guest for again from Canada, from Jeff. That's his name, Jeff. From young adults cancer care. Mm-hmm. And he mentioned the power of community as well, about building these connections, these bonds, these relationships, and how this help patients thrive, I think. So it's really, really touching and moving to hear you speak about this evolution of how we began as we don't have it. Let's make something. And then this something turned into flourish into something completely uh, wholesome, let's say,
Mhm.
holistic, and this is beautiful. And then talking about a little bit more about details of these programs, because you got me curious.
Oh, we
How the
have so
programs work,
many.
which ones you have. Let's talk about it.
So, you know what? Our cancer camp programs are really our cornerstone programs, and they go year round. I mean, of course, it's summer camp. Rite of passage in North America is going to summer camp. But then we do weekends as well. So we'll do weekend retreats for teen leadership program, bereaved families, newly diagnosed families. They'll come out for a weekend at camp and just have such amazing fun, great meals because, of course, food, so many things are focused around good, hearty, nutritious meals and great activities, and just being able to bond and share and do these fun activities in a really neat recreational setting. So those go on year round, and then we also do a peer program. It's an exercise physiology program, and actually our exercise physiologist is a doctor from Uruguay, and she came to Canada and set up the peer program here in Calgary, and it serves a lot of kids from southern Alberta, and we are expanding that throughout the province as well. It takes children who have gone through cancer therapy, might still be in the middle of therapy, might have finished, they have lots of long-term effects. They need to keep moving and exercising and strengthening their bodies after the ravages of chemo or radiation or just laying around in a hospital bed. That's not what kids were meant to be. They were meant to be out there playing and socializing with their peers. So that's an amazing program that we do. We've also got our education support program. Of course, childhood cancer hits right when kids are in school. And so we have tutors. All of our tutors are completely volunteers, and but we have two teachers on staff that do personalized education programs for every one of the kids that want a tutor, depending on what age and stage they're at. They get a tutor, and then when they're finished, they also have a chance to compete, not much of a competition because they're going to get it, for a scholarship. And they're very good scholarships, but they have to do all of the application that they got to complete the application that they're going to have to do to compete for other scholarships too. So it's really good training for them to go through this, and they get a very healthy scholarship to help them on their way. Personally, it's very special to me because it's named in my son's honor. So it's called the Derek Wanzura Memorial Scholarship. So all of these kids honor my son's memory when they apply for this scholarship. And so many of them have gone through, they've got their post-secondary education, they're becoming doctors and nurses and pharmacists and physiologists. I mean, and other very great professions. There's trades, and all of these kids are really thriving after they get this scholarship that they can go on. And it's because we've helped them to get on their way with this education support, with this tutoring. We have a very robust child life program that helps them through they ease through their specialized treatments. We make sure that they've got a good school reentry. So that when they're going back to school, they've got the kids in their classroom know and understand what they're going through. We'll make sure that they don't come back to school if they've got a cold or something, so that they're really protecting the child that's on treatment. Great little program called Monkey in My Chair. When they're off for treatment, there's a monkey that takes their seat in their classroom, and the other kids treat that monkey oh so special and caring for them. So it really is building a very caring community around the child that is sick. And then our child life therapist also really focuses on children, on the siblings, because mom and dad are left. They've gone to the hospital to be with their sick sibling, and they're left with being babysat by a grandparent or an aunt or uncle or a neighbor. And boy, they suffer so much, sometimes more so than the child that's sick. And so we really want to make sure that those siblings are well looked after as well. So we've got some special programs for them. We also do targeted programs on our parents as well, so that they can get out without the kids and do some fun stuff without the kids. And so we'll take the kids off on one area, and then the parents can do some other things. We'll do dragon boats with parents so that they're competing and learning and exercising. I think every one of our programs really focuses on the entire family. And we've got a very robust volunteer program. We've got over 700 volunteers in any given year that help us with these programs. So we're very much a volunteer-based organization. And so we want to really make sure that we have all the help necessary and needed. We could never afford to do this with staff. And believe me, our community is so strong and so willing to want to help. Lots and lots of young people from diverse backgrounds want to come and help. And some of our long-term volunteers are well into their 80s and are still giving to this cancer care community. So it's pretty exciting. We're well taken care of by our community.
Absolutely. I'm excited for you guys. And it's really moving again. It's beautiful to see how far you've come. It's really touching to hear you speak about all of these programs and see how every little aspect that might come from this terrible scenario, it's trying to be taken care of. It's really something else. And I want to just say something aside, that scholarship is a absolutely powerful way to honor your son's name. I think it couldn't be better than that. You're giving a future to a kid. This is brilliant. This is really brilliant.
So I think the other nice thing about it too, Danny, is that Kids Cancer Care, through our connections nationally and internationally, have been able to share our program models too. We put so much energy and resources into developing these programs, and we share them with other organizations too. So throughout the years being involved with Childhood Cancer International and Childhood Cancer Canada, we've been able to share our program models with other organizations that are interested in, how did you do that? Can you tell us how to do it too? Or we share what we do, and then they can adapt it for the resources that they have on hand, or what they have available to them, or what they've already got going, and they can tweak or modify or start a new program. And we're only too happy to do that. We don't want people reinventing the wheel all the time. We want to be able to share this.
I think that's paramount, honestly, to get any sort of advancement in the field. That you need to be able to collaborate and contribute, right? Sharing the knowledge is key. But mentioning this, you got me into something that you mentioned right now and before our interview about Childhood Cancer International. Could you share some of your experience with them? So, maybe we can get a gist of it.
So they started 30 years ago. 2024 is also their 30th anniversary, and it is Kids Cancer Cares as well. And I came onto the board of Childhood Cancer International in about 1995, and it was just a remarkable experience, because we got to grow together, and that's where we learned to share internationally with other first world countries, but most of our sharing and our work was in developing countries. And the differences between have and have not are very, very stark. And so we had so much to give and to share that Childhood Cancer International really focused on developing countries and the incredible have not, that countries were struggling with analgesics, pain medication for children, getting just the very basics of care for a very common leukemia that those children were dying. Children with brain tumors, they just didn't even treat, because they didn't have the really incredibly advanced treatment and surgical interventions that they needed to do there. So they were essentially just sent home to die, and usually without any pain medication. And we knew that we had so much to give and so much to offer. And so today it's a very robust organization that is, has member nations all over the world. It's Childhood Cancer International. If any of the listeners want to look and see what the incredible work that they're doing, trying to get onto the WHO agenda. We work out very strongly with SIOP, which is a French organization, but it works throughout the world, and it's International Society of Pediatric Oncology. And we meet with them once a year. And then there's regional meetings that happen that childhood cancer organizations, agencies, parent organizations team up with them a lot too, to make sure that we've got the best treatment and care for children, no matter where you're born or live. And that's just looking after humankind. I think it's very noble, but it's a really, really big task. Today, my energies are focused very much on Alberta and in Canada to make sure that we've got strong advocacy, that we're ensuring that children get the very best care here. And when we look after things at home and advance the research here at home, then we can share those things internationally as well. I think it's really vital that Canada is a rich and prosperous country, and if we don't share, we're missing the mark here. We need to share internationally to make sure, especially our brothers and sisters in developing countries, or countries that may still be under oppressive rule, that they're getting the treatment and care that they need there too.
Well, I completely agree with you, and I'm glad to see more people thinking like this, because it is. I think we all lose when we don't get together. It's something. Now, thank you so much for sharing all of this about Childhood Cancer International. We're definitely going to try to get in touch with them, Christine, because I think this is beautiful work. And if we could talk more about it, with someone that is now facing these challenges that you mentioned, I think that would be amazing. But after listening about all the great things that you're doing, I got to ask you, for the listeners, everyone watching on YouTube as well, that got inspired by your work, what are the best ways to get involved and support kids' cancer care?
Well, we've got a great website, totally under construction again, just to bring it into 2024. But the very best way to get in touch with us is through our webpage, kidscancercare.ab.ca. And go on there, have a look around, look at our programs, and look for ways to volunteer or to donate, or to just send us some, read some of our stories. We've got some amazing stories of children's journeys on there, and grab a tissue, but also grab your heart, because they will send you on a really lovely journey, and they can understand and feel what these kids are going through, and probably get a very good idea about how they can help too.
Christine, thank you so much for joining us today and for shedding light on this incredible work that you guys are doing there. I got really inspired by your dedication and your efforts of making this impact in the lives of children and families. It's really, really amazing. Thank you so much.
Oh, my pleasure, Danny. Thank you for doing the work that you're doing and spreading the word of good.
Oh, it's totally my pleasure. I gotta say, I'm very blessed to be able to do this. And for everybody,
I feel the same way.
It's a good feeling, right? I think it's a good feeling.
Yeah, it is a good feeling.
Yeah. And for everybody listening also, thank you so much for staying with us for one more episode. And remember, if you enjoyed this episode, press subscribe on YouTube or on your podcast app, because that shows the algorithms that this is an important conversation. And then we can spread the word about the importance of kids' cancer care. You can find a link to their page on our website, and, go there, check out, get more information. Bye, guys, and I'll see you in the next episode.